Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lecture. Myself Dr. Preeti from Department of Computer Science, Aryabhatta College, University of Delhi. So within this series of introduction to programming in C++, the current topic which we are going through presently is operator precedence and associativity, and we have already covered the first part in our previous lecture. That particular lecture was covering the basic fundamentals of operators, what actually precedence is and associativity, and in that lecture too we have seen some of the categories like mathematical operators and relational operators as well as logical operators. These three major categories we have already seen in our previous lecture. Now coming to the agenda for this lecture, we are going to we are going to study about bitwise operators. We are going to study about shift operators, and whatever we are left with fundamental type operators we are going to cover in this lecture. So coming to the next category of operators is bitwise operators. Now as the name indicates, bitwise. Basically it's a kind of operator which is used to change it's an operator which is changing individual bits into a number. We have some integral data types like character, integer, long, and we are going to use this bitwise operators only with integral data types like character, integer and long, and not with the floating point values. Will not be used with these bitwise operators will not be used with floating point values, and we are categorically these operators categorically operate on the bits of that particular or on the bits of the operands, we can say. Now coming to whatever categories of bitwise operators are available, we have bitwise AND, we have bitwise OR, bitwise XOR and bitwise NOT operator. AND operator is denoted by single ampersand, bitwise OR operator is denoted by a single pipe symbol, bitwise XOR operator by a caret symbol, and bitwise NOT operator by a tile symbol. They can also be used as shorthand notation. Shorthand notation we have covered in a previous lecture, that is like ampersand equals to, or not equals to, or caret equals to, or tilde equals to, and so on and so forth. Now let us try to differentiate between the operators which we have covered in the previous lectures, which was logical AND and logical OR, as well with this bitwise AND and bitwise OR. These two operators are having different categories. That means logical AND, which is denoted by double ampersand, logical OR is denoted by double pipe symbol, while bitwise AND and bitwise OR are denoted by single ampersand and single pipe symbol, and having we can say a different task, different applications, different functions too. So these should not be confused. We need to be very careful here. Now let's explore this bitwise operators, and then the differentiation between logical and bitwise operators will be crystal clear, I hope. Now let's say, as I have told you that this bitwise AND operators, or all the bitwise operator, will be working on the bits of the operands, I can say. So for example, I am taking two operands where A, whose value is 5, and B, whose value is 9. So in coming to the bitwise representation of this A and B, so this will be 101 preceded by 5 zeros for 5, which is the value of A, and 1001 preceded by 4 zeros for 9, which is the value of B. So representation, bitwise representation of 5 and 9 is given on the screen. Now I am taking unsigned character A is equals to 5 and B is equals to 9, and now what I am trying to print is actually the result of A and B which is the bitwise end. I have used only one single ampersand here, that means I am talking about bitwise end. If I would have used this double ampersand, then this would have been logical AND operator. Now 5, if you can see its bit representation, and bit representation of 9 as arranged in the table is shown on the screen. Now if I am saying 5 and 9, so what will happen? This is going to take all the numbers, all the I can say bits in which both the places, for example 1, it is having 1 in the most significant bit, which is the rightmost bit. So if I am going to take the answer of 5 and 9, it will be 1 in the place of the last place, then it will be having 0, then 1, and then all zeros here. Now coming to the next, which is bitwise OR. So OR, as you are aware, that OR is going to give me the answer as valid even if one of the we can say bit is valid. So for example, with the same values, a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 9, if I am going to take a or b, now see what is happening here. Let's consider it bit by bit from left to right. So from left I am taking 5 and 9, both are 0, so the 5 or 9 answer will be 0. I am going column wise. So for the next column, 0 and 0, it's 0 again. For the third column it is 0, for the fourth column it is 0 2. But for the fifth column, the value of bit in 5 is 0, while value of bit at 9 is 1. So it is 0 1. So when OR of 0 and 1 is taken, it is 1. So the answer will be 1 here for that particular column. Now coming to the next column, which is 1 for 5 and 0 for 9, then we have 1 0. End of 1 and 0 is 1. Then 0 and 0 for both the values, so the answer will be 0, and 1 for both the values, so the answer will be 1. So considering the answer representation of complete representation of the answer, which is 5 or 9, this is going to be 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 1. So that is the scenario. So I hope now you understood that we are taking column wise. Why we are taking column wise? Meaning of taking column wise, that means the bits taking the same bits position in both of the operands. I am taking whether the bit here is 0 or 1, and then the OR operation on those two bits will be done and answer will be evaluated in this manner. For example, now coming to the next operator, which is bitwise XOR. Now bitwise XOR, or XOR if you can say, is going to give you answer as 1 only if there is the two bits in the operands are different. That means for the similar position, if if A is having 0 and B is having 1, or vice versa, A is having 1 or B is having 0, then the answer will be 1 for that particular position. Otherwise, in the case of similar bits, it is going to give us 0. So if you can see, the representation of 5 and 9 are written here, and let's take it column by column. So the first column 0 0, same. Second column 0 0, same. So the answer is 0, because 1 will be there only when there is a difference in the bits. Then the third column 0 0, answer is 0. Fourth column again 0 0, answer is 0. Coming to the fifth column says 0 and 1. Yes, the bits are different, so the answer will be 1. The next column again 1 and 0, the bits are different, so the answer is 1. Then 5 and 9, which is for 5 and 9, the second last column, which is 7th column, is 0 and 0, same bits, so the answer is 0. Again 1 and 1, same bit, so the answer is 0. So 5 XOR 9 is going to give me the answer 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 0. So in this way we can say bitwise AND, bitwise XOR, bitwise OR operators are calculated. Along with this we have one more operators, one more category, which is bitwise NOT operators, and one subcategory which is I can say shift operators. So I am coming to the shift operators, but before going to the shift operators, we are having NOT operators. So NOT operators, as the name indicates, what actually it is going to do, it is just going to reverse the digits of the number. So for example, the number is 101 and NOT of 101 will be 0 1 0. So each and every bit will be inverted. That's the kind of bitwise NOT operator. Within the bitwise operator, you can have one subcategory shift operators, or you can consider it as a different category apart from bitwise operators. These are basically two operators. One is right shift, another one is left shift. So right shift is denoted by right angle bracket double, and left shift is denoted by less than sign, or I can say left angle bracket used twice, which is double. So what actually this right shift and left shifts are going to do? So coming to the right shift, obviously as it is an operator, until this point we have considered only the operators which are taking two operands, or which are taking two numbers. So it takes two numbers, it right shifts the bits of the first operand. So whatever is the first operand, it is going to shift the bits of that first operand into the right hand side, and how much shift is being performed, that number of shift will be decided by the second operand. I will be showing an example too. Coming to the left shift also takes two operands or two numbers. So basically let's say A, the left shift operator, which is double less than sign B. So bits of A will be shifted on the left side, and how many times this shift will happen, or how many places these bits will shift, that will be equals to the value of B. For example, I am going to give you A left shift 3. That means the bits of A will be taking left shift, or will be taking shift in the left direction, and that shift will be equals to 3. That means 3 times it will be shifted. But one caution while using this shift operators, that these shift operators should not be used for negative numbers. Now let's take an example. So let us take x equals to 9, and the bitwise representation is 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 1. Now whenever I am saying that I am trying to print x left shift 1 and x left shift 1, means x double angle brackets in the left side followed by 1. So two operands or two numbers, one is x, another one is 1. So what actually this is going to do, this is going to left shift the number of left shift the bits of x by one place, and whenever it is going to shift, now what will happen? Let's say I am going to shift the bits of this n9 by 1. So it will be 0 0 0 1001, and the last place is vacant, which is left shifted, that will be replaced by 0. So if you can see the upper representation and the line which is showing that the result of this left shift, what actually the difference is. The numbers or the bits in 9 are being shifted on the left side by 1 place, and the vacant place is filled with 0. And now please try to see this representation. This representation is equals to 18. That means 0 0 0 1 0 0 1 0 is the bitwise representation of the number 18. Now coming to the right shift. So right shift x, right shift 1, that means bits of x, which is 9, is shifted onto the right hand side by 1. So x greater than equals x greater than equals to 1. So all the bits will be shifted to right side. That means the rightmost bit will be vanished off, and here we will be having 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 0, and the rightmost one is vanished off. Now if you can see carefully the representation of this 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 0, this is actually representing 4. So when we did left shift, the answer was 18, and when we did right shift, the answer was 4. Now here is a very important point. Whenever we are going to left shift the number, we are going to double that number. That means 9 multiplied by 2 is 18. Left shift is causing the number to be multiplied by 2, and right shift is causing the number to be divided or integrally divided integer wise by 2. So 9 divided by 2, the integer answer is 4. So right shift is going to give you answer 4, while the left shift is going to give you answer 18, which is x multiplied by 2, and this is only for one place, and it is going to accumulated the moment you are taking it for more number of bits. For example, x when shifted for 2, or x when given the left shift or right shift for twice, then this effect will be accumulated accordingly. Now coming to the bitwise not operator. So bitwise not operator, as I have told you, that it is going to take one number and it is going to invert all the bits of it. For example, the value of a is a was 5, so it is 0 0 0 0 0 and 1 0 1, and when I am going to print this negation of a, it is going to give me all the inverted bits as 1 1 1 1 1. So that means 0 in place of 1 and 1 in place of 0. That is your bitwise not operator. Now if you can recall all the operators till this point which we have considered or which we have seen were binary operators. Binary operator means two operands are taken, which is, for example, plus, so a plus b or 5 plus 7, or take any logical operator or take any kind of bitwise operator, whatever, those were binary operators. Now here we have some more categories of operators when talking about on the basis of number of operands. So binary operators, that means two operands. Another category is unary operator, and the third category is ternary operators, which I will be covering in a short while. Unary operators, as the name indicates, only one operand, so it works with only one operand. Now how come an operator, I mean if kind of this is the first language one considers, so unary operator only, that means an operator which is having only one operand. So but there are many unary operators, for example increment operator plus plus, decrement operator minus minus, then address of operator, dereferencing operator, then your bitwise not which we have considered was also an unary operator. Then we have unary minus, which is simple minus sign. Then we have unary plus, which is a simple plus sign. So there are n number of operators which are unary operators, but the most commonly used, especially in case of C++, here are increment and decrement operators. So increment plus plus, so let's say if I am writing x plus plus, so that essentially means x is equals to x plus 1. That means I am incrementing the value of x by 1. And similarly, if I am saying x minus minus, that means I am decrementing the value of x by 1, which is x is equals to x minus 1. These are the two operators which are very commonly used, and I have told you some other also which are address of and dereferencing operators. Logical not is one of them, then unary minus, unary plus, bitwise not, and so on and so forth. Let us take a detailed look for this increment operator. So increment operator is denoted by plus plus. It modifies the operand by adding 1 to its value, as I have told you. It cannot be used with constant because it is changing the value. So changing the value, that means we are talking about a variable. And now let us consider that we are using it with a variable I, and it can be used in postfix notation as well as in the prefix notation. So postfix notation, that means operator is written after the operand, which is I plus plus, and prefix notation, that means operator is written before the operand, which is plus plus I. So I plus plus and plus plus I are the kind of two versions in which this increment operator can be used. If we consider I as a variable in both the cases, if I am just writing I plus plus or I am writing plus plus I not along with any expression, they are going to raise the value of I by 1. So that means in both the cases the operation I is equals to I plus 1 is performed. But this is going to make a difference if we talk about using this increment operator in an expression, whether in a postfix notation or in a prefix notation. So the value of expression will be different if it is used in postfix notation, and the value of expression will be different if it is used in a prefix notation. Let us see how. So let us try to consider the effects of postfix and prefix operators. Consider the two variables I, which is equals to 2, and j is equals to 8. I have taken some two simple examples, and then we have returned cout I plus plus. Output is 2. Now what actually happened? The operator is postfix operator. So that means the value of I is printed first, giving the output as 2, and then the value is incremented. After being printed, now the value of I has become 3. Now in the next sentence or in the next statement, when you are saying then cout I, it is going to give you output 3. Similar things happen with your decrement operators also. For example, I am saying j minus minus, so that means j minus minus is used in the postfix notation. So cout is taking j first, or that means the print of j is taken first, and the output obviously is 8 because that's the original value of j. Then the value is decremented. So now the value of j minus now the new value of j after j minus minus has become 7. Fine, but this is not what we are going to print. Coming to the next statement, if I am saying cout minus minus j, now please remember we have value of j as 7, and now here what are we saying? Minus minus j. That means the value is decremented once again before sending the value for print operation or before sending the value to the output stream, which is your Cout in a way. So 7 decremented again has become 6, and now the new value 6 is going to be sent to the output. So yes, when just with a variable I am saying I plus plus or plus plus I, it is not going to make much of the difference, but if when used with expressions or when used with print statements or something of that sort, this is going to make difference. Yes, so I plus plus and plus plus I will be different if I am going to use it in an expression, depending upon the associativity and precedence too. Now within the category of these unary operators, we have one sign operator. That sign operator is just unary minus, or this is also commonly known as sign operator. Unary minus is the operator which is used for declaring a value as negative. So it returns the value of the operand as it is, but inverts the sign. For example, if we say integer n is equals to minus 5, so now n is minus 5, and if we are going to print minus n, then the output will be 5. So it has inverted the sign. That's the sign operator. It is pretty simple, and it is it is something which we use in our normal mathematics too. Coming to the another category of operators, so we have seen binary operators, we have seen unary operator. Along with that, we have one more ternary operator. So ternary operator means we have 3 operands for it. So yes, it is possible in C++ to have an operator having 3 operands. So how the syntax says the syntax is there. There is going to be a condition which is going to give answer as yes or no, and that condition will be followed by a question mark. Then we have a space to fill in, and then a colon, and then a space. So whenever I am talking about a space, that means this space is to be filled in by either true condition or for the false condition. Now let us try to see and understand the syntax. For example, I have given integer a is equals to 10. Now the if else condition or the decision making condition is asking for a greater than 5. Now this a greater than 5, whether it will be it will answer in whether it will answer in true or whether it will answer in false, that depends. So if I am saying a greater than 5, a question mark is there, so that's a condition, and then this a greater than 5, if it is true, then the first statement written before the colon, which is Cout true, is executed. Otherwise, the next statement, which is Cout false and written after the colon, is executed. So let us try to focus it on once more. There is a condition, after that there is a question mark, then the true statement colon false statement. If the condition is giving you true, the true statement will be executed, else the false statement will be executed. So here in this situation, when I am saying a is equals to 10, so 10, a is greater than 5, yes, it is greater than 5, so true will be printed and false will not be printed. So the ternary operator is having an syntax of question mark and colon, where the first operand will go before question mark, the second operand will go between question mark and colon, and the third operand is going to go after colon. So that's the syntax of the ternary operator. So we have one operator in C++ which is ternary operator. Along with that, we have seen comma operators, which is, for example, I am going to say integer a comma b comma c, that means it is used in variable declaration or multiple variable declaration, or when used with in case of expression, the value of last expression is produced and used. For example, if I am going to say a is equals to b plus plus comma c plus plus, so the value of a will be c plus plus, that means the value of a will be evaluated by the last expression. So A is equals to C plus plus will be done. So this is what your comma operator is. Now coming to the precedence and associativity, we have one table in which the category of the operator is written, the syntax of the operator, or the we can say symbol of the operator is written, and then its associativity, and these operators are arranged according to their precedence. That means postfix operator is having the highest precedence, postfix or category in which parenthesis is there, dereferencing operators are there, plus plus minus minus used in postfix form. Associativity is from left to right. Then comes in precedence are unary operators, associativity is from right to left. Then comes multiplicative operators, which are multiplication, division and modulo division, associativity is from left to right. Then additive category of operation, which is plus and minus, again associativity is from left to right. So these operators are arranged according to their precedence. And then we have shift operators, left shift, right shift, relational operators, equality, non-equality, bitwise AND, bitwise XOR, followed by bitwise OR, then logical AND, logical OR, and conditional operator, which is the ternary operator, then assignment operators, and followed by comma operator. So the written is the associativity too. And so in this lecture what we have covered is whatever we were left with, shift operators, bitwise operators, then the idea of precedence of the operators along with their associativity, that much part we have covered in detail. So operators in a way we have covered in a greater depth, and here are some references for this particular lecture. Thank you for a patient hearing.